In this episode, I'll show you how to make the best homemade sugar cookie recipe that you can use as a base for all your holiday cookie designs. The first thing I'm going to do is mix my dry ingredients and my wet ingredients. I've got 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. I've got some baking powder and baking soda. They're both leavening agents. The baking soda is going to help the cookie brown. I'm going to add that to the flour and I'm just going to whisk these together. And now what we're going to do is add our wet ingredients. We're just going to add some egg, and we're going to add some vanilla extract. So I've got the egg yolk and I've got the vanilla extract, and you can add that pinch of salt at this stage. And that's how quick it is to get these ingredients together. We've got our flour ready, we've got our wet ingredients together, and now we're going to move over to the food processor. The first thing we're going to do is actually add the sugar to the food processor, and we're going to blend this. If you was using your stand mixer, you'd want to purchase super fine sugar. What we found with granulated sugar that it's a little bit coarse when you have the cookie, although you may be adding sugar to the top of it, which is one option as well. But feel free to just blend it, and we're just going to stick this on for about 20 to 30 seconds. Next thing we're going to do is add the butter. What we're doing is just breaking down those fat crystals in the butter, and it really does work quite well for this recipe with the cookie. Different food processors have different strengths, so feel free if you've got to give it a scraping down. The goal for this is to have it come together and the butter to absorb all that sugar. And you'll notice that it's creamed together, and basically what's happened is the food processor has broken down those fats, and then what we're going to do now is actually add our wet ingredients. We've mixed the egg and the vanilla, just placing that in. I'm going to turn this on for about 20 seconds. We just want them to absorb and mix together. And now we're just going to add all of the dry ingredients to the food processor. I'm just going to take the excess off the top, and this will take about 30 to 60 seconds just to thoroughly mix. Usually after about 15 seconds I just scrape it down just to make sure we're getting all of the butter from the bottom of the bowl, and you can see it's really coming together. About another 10 seconds and we're going to have a great dough. I'm not looking to ball up the dough and overwork it. I'm just looking for this coarse mixture, as you can see. At this stage, we're going to bring it onto the board, and we're going to knead it. Use my hands to bring this together. It's not like a pie dough where you need to over knead it, just bringing it together. And now you've got this really pliable dough ready. We don't want to handle it too much more. And what we're going to do is cut this in half. I'm going to take a piece of parchment paper and I'm going to place a piece in the center, and then what I'm going to do is actually just pat it out to get it started, just patting the dough out. And then now what we're going to do is place another piece of parchment on the top to help us roll it out. When it comes to rolling this out, we're looking for about 1/8 of an inch is the perfect cookie. You can purchase these rubber bands inexpensively online or at any bake store. They're really handy, I think, for when you're baking, if you're making pie doughs and cookies, and they work as a great guideline. As always, whenever we will roll something out, we want to start from the center, roll it forward, and then we're going to come across, and we're just trying to get this nice 1/8 of an inch shape. If you're making this at home, is just use that side of the spatula as your guideline, just put it next to your dough. And we can see now that the bands are pretty much being our guideline, and we've got this rolled out, and that's how easy it is. We're going to place these in the refrigerator and let them rest for at least 1 hour to 2 hours. We want to just let them relax, let the dough chill, and then we'll be ready to cut these out and bake them. It's set in the fridge. You can see that it's nice and hard. I'm going to peel off the top piece of parchment paper, and then I'm going to turn this over, and I'm actually going to do the same on the back end. And what this does is it stops the actual cookie dough from, when you're cutting it out, sticking to the parchment paper. When it comes to making shapes, it's up to you what you want to use. There are so many, from a crinkle round cut, an angel, a bell, you may have some holiday trees. It's all about just having fun in the kitchen. What we want to do is just come through, press it, and then we're going to bring it out, you can see, and then it's going to go onto the cookie tray. And then we just keep going with different shapes, and it's really easy. We're going to fill the tray up with all these different shapes, and with any scraps, what we can do is we can just actually roll this back out using the rolling pin. Just roll it out to 1/8 of an inch and you can cut them out. I would probably let it rest for about another 20 minutes just to chill down the butter again. Now that we've got these, I'm gonna bake these at 300 Fahrenheit in the center of the oven. It's a lower temperature because we don't want them to brown too quick. We want them to cook perfectly. Whilst that tray of cookies is baking, there are several ways you can actually decorate cookies. One is just to take some sugar and just to top the cookie itself. Now it's going to be cooking at 300 Fahrenheit, which is a low temperature, so it's not going to burn. So there you have them, the perfect sugar cookie, whether it's topped with pearl sugar, regular sugar, raw sugar, or royal icing. I promise the sugar cookie recipe is the best one you're going to come across.